Welcome to the Greater Irvine Chamber Business Insights podcast series, where we address challenges and ideas for early-stage and entrepreneurial business leaders. Your host today is Dave Coffaro, Interim President and CEO of the Greater Irvine Chamber.
Welcome to the Greater Irvine Chamber Business Insight Podcast. Today, we're talking about the topic of growing your business through government contracts. So thanks so much for joining us, folks. If you've ever wondered how your business can become a vendor or a service provider for government agencies, this is the episode for you. And to help us get into the nuts and bolts of navigating government contracts, we're joined by two subject matter experts. Karla Gonzalez, a business consultant with the Small Business Development Center, and Jay Ungos, who is the president and founder of the Small Business Diversity Network. So, Karla and Jay, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Dave.
All right. To kick things off, I want to ask you both, just share a little bit about your background and your role. So, Karla, let's start with you. Just a little bit about what you do and how you got there.
Perfect. So, as mentioned, I work for the Inland Empire SBDC, but I am part of the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC Network, which is the Small Business Development Centers. We are federally funded and we're also state funded as well. So all of our services are at no cost to the business community. So I repeat, we're at no cost to the business community. We help in various different areas. We have a finance center, we have a marketing center, we have consultants that can help businesses through compliance, through planning, any aspect of their business to help them start, grow, and obviously expand into other markets. My background is in contracting, so I also oversee the Center for Contracting. So unique to our network, we have a Center for Contracting that covers Orange County, Inland, and the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, and Riverside. That Center for Contracting, we help businesses that are looking to explore contracting, looking to find more information about it, looking to get guidance on certifications, anything having to do with contracting. Not just federal, but also state contracting, local contracting, and private contracting. So my background is in that. I've been doing this for, a little bit over 17 years now. So I have quite a bit of experience maneuvering through the different systems, in and out of them, kind of have a good understanding of what it takes to go into it. And additionally, I'm not a one-person operation. Under the Center for Contracting, there's 6 of us. So you have 6 subject matter experts in various different areas of contracting that we tap into. And for those that are looking assistance beyond that, we have about 100 consultants that cover the 3 counties and other areas also.
Love hearing that those are services that are available at no charge to any small business. That's fantastic. Thank you, Karla. Jay, let's turn to you. Just share a little bit about what you do and how you got there.
Yeah, so just a little bit about my background. I was in the mortgage industry actually, from 2000 to 2008. And then, I did really well. But I wasn't really passionate about that industry. So, I decided to start my own business, in 2010. And ever since 2010, I've become an entrepreneur. So I know the struggles, the challenges, and it's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's been the most satisfying thing and gratifying thing that I've ever done. So, I really am passionate for small business. I learned a lot through my journey and through all my encounters with, like the SBA, SBDC, ethnic organizations like the Hispanic Chamber, the Asian Business Association of Orange County. I was fortunate to be able to serve under some of those boards, really understand how the nonprofit space worked and how we support the small business community. So, during the past couple of years, I was fortunate to also work with a bunch of really passionate individuals. And we thought about, really making a difference within our community. So we decided, hey, wouldn't it be great if we started a nonprofit that not only, is able to be able to bring the communities together, but to be able to do a lot of collaboration, and not just with the local chambers, but also with all the agencies. So that's what we did, last year. I've created a dream team of folks who are just so passionate about small business that we launched the Small Business Diversity Network to be more inclusive for all the small businesses. So we focus a lot on the underserved small business community, specifically small businesses. But then there's also those communities that are really, really in need of help. So those communities include like the minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, disabled and LGBT-owned businesses. So that's why we started that, to be more inclusive. We work a lot with a lot of the nonprofits. We just had an event last night with the Hispanic Heritage, the Hispanic Chamber of Orange County, and we celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month together, and that was a lot of fun. So, not only do we come together for business, but we also come together for, to be able to build really, really solid relationships in the community. So that's why we started the Small Business Diversity Network, to be able to support small business, that you're not in this fight alone, and that we're stronger together. And being connected with our network, you'll be connected with all the resources you'll need to take you to the next level for your business.
That's terrific. And relationships are so important. And that is so core to our philosophy at the Chamber. People do business with those that they know, like, and trust. And those relationships are really the foundation. So thanks for sharing that. We appreciate it, Jay. Karla, let's shift to you. And would you briefly explain what government contracts are and how they can be beneficial to small and medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So government contracting, first of all, let me start off. When we say government, it's you're talking about everything, but we need to be more targeted. So when we're mentioning government contracting, I'm going to go back and ask the client, are we looking at federal? Are we looking at state? Are we looking at cities or counties? Because those are all very different lanes. But in general, what that is this entity, whether it's like the federal or state, for example, is looking to procure a product or a service. So they're needing something from a business, whether it's paper clips, let's just say, or construction services. They will go ahead and post out an announcement, typically 30 days, asking for people to respond, and people meaning businesses to respond to those bid announcements with how they would do the work, what that cost would be, and then they will go ahead, submit those proposals in to that particular agency based on their requirements, and then that agency will, at that point, make a decision on who to move forward. But when we're looking at government contracting in totality, it's always figuring out, who do you want to contract with? What are they looking for? Do they buy what you have? And what are those processes? Because everybody is very different from one another. But from a small business standpoint and a medium standpoint, it's a good way to expand your business. It's a good way to add a new revenue stream that you maybe never thought of adding before. So it's a good way just to really get your business to the next level. But we want to make sure you're well prepared and understand what those steps are, because you just can't wake up tomorrow morning and say, hey, I want to go get a contract with the state of California. I wish it were that easy, but there are some steps that you want to take. So it's a great mechanism to help you grow your business and expand, like I mentioned, those revenue streams. But more importantly, we really want to make sure you understand, in terms of government contracting, who is that you want to contract with? What are their buying patterns? What are they looking for? And what does that process look like?
That leads to a question, Karla. How do we know what they're buying? So I know we're talking about multiple layers, right? City, county, state, federal. But generally speaking, how does a business in the greater Irvine area know what any government entity is buying?
Great question. So I normally recommend, depending on who we're looking at, they all have websites and portals. So for example, on the federal side, you're able to go onto a system called SAM. You are able in there to research contract opportunities, and you can also see past awards that have been awarded. So that's a good place to start. Additionally, on the state of California's website, you can also see what kind of opportunities are coming out, but you can also see their past purchases. So you can see what agencies were buying and in what different categories, and see where you fit in. And the good example of that is, you may think you want to provide XYZ service, but Department X only buys that every 5 years. But you do that research so that now you know, okay, it's not going to come back out for 5 years. Let me prepare myself to do that. Cities and counties also have their databases and their portals, so that's another place you can go ahead and look for. Though there are also a lot of paid sites you can go into. I'm not a big fan of paid, but there are central sites that you can pay. But the ones strictly directly with the cities and the states and the feds, they're all free to you. So you can go in there on those sites and see what they're all about. Additionally, at our SBDC, out of the OCIE, we're able to do market research for you. So once we determine what your product and service is, we look at those NAICS code, which is a North American Industry Classification Codes. So you might say I'm a landscaper, that's great, but there's a code tied to that. So we look for that code and we're able to run market research to see what kind of contracts have come out in the past year or 2 years to give you an idea of whether or not it's something you want to get into.
So I want to really accentuate that point. Someone who's thinking about selling to the government can come to the SBDC. You go through, you identify their code, and then see what contracts have come up and what they look like. And then the business owner can say, yep, that's what I want to go after.
Correct. We don't get the actual copies of the contracts, but we'll find out how much has been awarded, what kind has been awarded, and what agencies. And that goes back to that market research part of it, is really understanding who you want to go after. Additionally, I would like to add another great starting point is to go to the different business matchmaking events, business expos that are out there. I know Jay's organization always has them going on. We have them going on as well as some of our other agencies. Those are good opportunities to get yourself comfortable, get yourself used to the language that's being spoken there, kind of see what that vibe is like. You'll see other entities on the private side that you can talk to. They have supplier diversity outreach specialists that will talk to you a little bit about what they're buying, what they're looking for, and what those processes are. I always tell clients, they're human just like you. So you're more than welcome to go up, talk to them, have a conversation with them, get to know them, and get to know what their agency or organization is buying.
It's building relationships back to where we started, getting to know those people. So you both have the term small business or small business network in your names of your organizations. Is there a common definition for small or diverse businesses?
So if we're looking at it from a small standpoint, that there is what's called an SBA small business size table, that's size and standard. So based on those industry codes, so once again, if your code, for example, is 236918, let's just say, that code will state you can only go have gross revenue of, say, 10 million or 15 million. So they will have a cap in there that will tell you, in order to be considered a small business under the federal eyes, they're going to go off that NAICS code and see what that cap is. Now, I will say a lot of other agencies will refer back to that SBA table. The state of California, I believe, caps it at 16 million in order to be considered small. So once again, it goes back to depending on what agency you're looking at. Others look at it as not from dollar sign, but from employee standpoint. 100 employees or below, or 500 and below, depending if you're a manufacturer. So it goes back to who do you want to do business with and what are they going off of. In terms of the diverse, once again, now we're looking at, once again, like I mentioned earlier, who do you want to contract with and what do they care about? So I'll give you a quick example. The state of California, for example, you may come to me and says, hey, I want to get women certified because I want to do contract with the state of California. I'm a diverse firm. Well, that's great, but the state of California is race and gender neutral. So they look at small businesses. But we have other entities like the utilities, California Public Utilities, they will look for diverse firms. And that diverse are typically based on ethnicity and gender or social status. So with that said, we look at that 51%. So the majority owner has to be 51%, and by majority owner is the one that will qualify. So if you're trying to be a diverse woman-owned business, that business should be owned, controlled, and managed at 51% by a woman-owned business, meaning she has the authority to assign checks, hire and fire, has the experience, has the licenses, everything that is needed to operate that business. So that's where that diverse comes in, is making sure whoever that majority owner is, they're able to show that they own and control it and manage it. And then just to give you a quick kind of look ahead on what those diverse groups are right now that they're categorizing for certifications in this instance will be our ethnic minorities, our women businesses, we have disabled veterans, we have veterans, person with disabilities, and our LGBTQ. So those are the different diverse groups that you're able to proceed with to identify yourself in terms of trying to get contracts.
That really opens up a lot of opportunity to the businesses in our community. And I want to highlight this idea of, quote, small, because I think of a company that's 500 employees or less. 500 is a lot of employees. 499 is a lot of employees. 16 million in revenue is a pretty good revenue stream. So I want our listeners to really get a hold of this, that small has a pretty broad definition. So don't count yourself out if you didn't think that you were a small business, or if you presumed that small business means a solopreneur, sole proprietor kind of thing. It's more than that. I think that's a really, really good message. Let me ask you, and I'll start with you, Karla. What are some of the types of goods and services that are commonly sought by agencies, whether it's at the county level, the state level, the federal level? We talked a little bit about where you can go and get that, but just highlight some of those. What does that look like?
I will say the biggest ones are always going to be construction and construction-related services. They're always building something. So that's always going to be your big one. But with that, I would, like I said, related services. So landscaping, plumbing, everything that happens to go under construction. With that said as well, though, too, is I encourage subcontracting. So just because you're not going after the big dollar contract, there might be a component in that contract for your particular service that you can be a subcontractor to that prime. So don't discount those subcontracting opportunities. But construction is huge. Construction-related services is huge. Also professional services, IT services in that regard, management consulting services, marketing services. I've also seen a lot of janitorial requests out there. So it's pretty broad. And I always like to throw this one in there. And I always get a giggle out of it. Is many moons ago, one of our utility companies picked up the phone and called me. I needed a DJ. They wanted a business that was small business certified to DJ one of their events. So I always tell everybody, don't discount your services. Just see where you are able to plug yourself in.
We have members of the chamber who are DJs. So folks, I hope you're listening. You know who you are. Good to hear. Jay, let's turn to you. And what do you say to businesses that are completely new to the idea of government contracts? And what are some of the first steps that they should consider?
You know, I'm so glad that Karla joined us today, because this is a lot of nuggets that is so crucial, specifically when it comes to contracting. And that's why we love working with Karla and her team, because this is a lot, you know. And what I recommend to small businesses that are new to this, new to this game, new to just contracting in general, is to keep an open mind and to be ready to get yourself re-educated, right? Because it's all about growing. That's one of the things. And the second recommendation I have is, once you make that commitment to be able to re-educate yourself, re-educate to be able to take your business to the next level, because you have to go through some of these workshops, some of these seminars, and invest time in your business in order to grow, right? And then get connected, because now what do you do with that training that you just got, the education that you just got, the certification that you just got? So it's all about getting connected, and that means your networking could look different now, because now you could start networking with corporations, with organizations, with agencies. And this is where Karla mentioned, being able to go to these matchmaking events and just set aside time for that, and make friends, just make new connections. Because a lot of times with these agencies, with these with these big corporations, enterprises, a lot of times their supplier diversity teams, their procurement teams, are the same folks who've been there for a long time. They're very passionate about, being able to give these contracts to small businesses, so, relationships, again, are key, because there's so much information that, us as small business owners, we have to do our homework. We have to put in the time. We have to take time out of our day to be able to network, to be able to learn, to be able to connect with these opportunities in order for us to get to the next level of success. So, that's something that I really highly recommend. And we have such an opportunity because, in California, right, 4.1 million small businesses, and 80% of those small businesses are owner-operators. They're just one employee. So, it's pretty awesome that small businesses a lot of times can be considered up to 15 million. But imagine the 80% of us out there who are owner-operators who can't get to these types of events. And this is why this is such a huge opportunity for us to be able to share this information to those 80%. So that means that 3.2 million businesses have the ability to be able to work with government contracts. But the thing is, they have to be ready. Their business has to be ready, their mindset, everything else. And this is why this information is so important, because there's so many projects and opportunities that are coming that are available now that they don't know about, and they just need to be able to prepare. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of information, but I'm just glad that, make connections, make friends. SBDC is going to help guide you. We're here to guide you also, but so just get connected.
Jay, one of the things that you said, and I think it's worth sort of going deeper on, is this whole idea that you may have to change the way you market, the way that you connect, because while you've got a product or a service that you deliver, the marketing is kind of how you get awareness to it. And so what I hear you saying is be open to sort of redefining your go-to-market model.
Yeah, and it's all about reinventing ourselves. As entrepreneurs, that's why we're able to, you need to be dynamic, right, in your approach. Recently we just had Karla come with her team, because one of the things that these contractors are looking for are like capability statement. A lot of small businesses, when we ask them, hey, do you guys have a capability statement? There's very few that actually raise their hands. So things like that you need to be able to equip yourself with. Other things that they need to be able to be prepared, like their financials need to look, bookkeeping. That's important, especially when you have to get certified. They ask for financials specifically for businesses when it comes to getting certified. And there's different types of certifications, whether it's through public. There's also private ones that you could get certified through, and those come with a fee. But imagine being able to get certified as and there's a third party that puts that stamp of approval that you're a legit business ready to work, and that's important. So there's a lot of things that small businesses really need to understand is to be able to get their business to the next level, and this is why this is so important.
Great transition to Karla. I want to ask you about that process, the registration process for becoming a government vendor. Are there specific certifications or requirements for registration for state and federal contracts?
So depending on what lane we're going through, so right off the bat, to get registered doesn't require any kind of uploads. To register to see the bid opportunities and to register in the system. Then the question then becomes and I go back to the who cares, do they want you to be certified? Is there an advantage for you to be certified? So depending on who we're looking at, whether it's the federal, whether it's the state, to the utility companies, whoever it is, depending on what they look for in terms of preference of diverse designation certifications, then we go through that process. And that certification process, to Jay's point, does require you to upload quite a bit of documentation for some of them. Some of them are quicker than others, but they do require you to upload documentation into that system to get verified and then have that certification approved and assigned to you. So if I give you a quick kind of like look in, the federal looks at 8A certification. They have a woman-owned small business certification, an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business certification, a veteran-owned small business certification, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business certification, and a hub zone certification. That's just federal. So depending on what you qualify for, you are able to proceed with any of those. On the state side, we don't look at any of those. The state of California has their certified small business public works, and they also do certified disabled veteran business enterprise. So like I said, it depends on who you want to go to, so you get the right designations. If you tell me, well, I want to do business with these big companies down the street from me, they probably don't care if you're certified. They care if you're local and you have everything in order. But if you're saying, hey, I want to maybe look at Disney or an Edison, those are two separate designations that you can also obtain. Or then because they do have supplier diversity. But just to register itself, it's pretty straightforward and easy. It's that certification component of it that can be a little bit more work with that documentation.
It sounds like a good way to make that actionable is check out the opportunities first, then see what's required, and then get into the process.
Correct. We always recommend, let's do some research. We don't want to waste your time going down this rabbit hole if it's not needed. So let's do some research. Who do you want to go after? How do they buy? How often do they buy? Where do you fit into that world? And then from there, we start taking the proper steps to prepare you. We also tell our clients that be aware that sometimes it can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months before you land the contract. So that's why we encourage that you have other revenue streams. This is just going to be an enhancement to your business to open up that other door of revenue.
I'll add to that I think it's so important for the business people that take this path to be patient, because it does take time. I can tell you from my own firm, my consulting firm, that I signed up, I registered, and eventually got contracts with the state of California. I've done strategic planning work in the EC system, and the challenge is it takes time, and you do have to provide documentation, and you got to be patient. On the other hand, once you get into the system, you can ask to be notified every time there's a contract that's in your area of specialization.
Correct.
And I get emails all the time saying, here's something like you did before. And so once you're in, you're in. You renew it every so often. That's with the state. But I would add to kind of your comments, Karla, and to Jay's. It's a great way to grow your business. Just be patient, and it can be worth it if you take those steps. So,
Definitely.
Jay, I want to turn to you, and I've heard you say this before when you're talking about the state of California and mandates around awarding a certain amount of contracts to small and diverse businesses. What does that look like, and how does that work?
You know, in working with not only a lot of the chambers that we collaborate with, and agencies, we also work with, cities, mayors, city managers, and other elected officials. So those who really want to support small business, they actually have bills that they put to help us, right? So I'm going to give you an example of one, the AB 2019, that's pretty big, where the bill would require just some directors on a state level with the minimum goal of 25% of procurement participation for all small businesses, including micro businesses. That's a big deal. If you really think about that, imagine every dollar spent for any state contracting, that 25 cents, that's what they want their goal is, needs to go to small business and micro businesses. That's a huge deal, especially for us. And we just have to be able to prepare ourselves for those types of contracts and do the research and reach out to the SBDC to help our small business and our own businesses to be able to, make sure that we have the best opportunity to land one of those contracts. And that really means that we may have to collaborate as a subcontract to some of these primes. Because some of these contracts are huge, right? So to be able to connect, maybe you don't connect with these contracts or the state or these agencies directly, but through a prime contractor, you could sub out your services to them. And it's really just building these relationships to be able to connect with these primes, because and then till you get to that point where you could become a prime on your own. And these are the type of things that, through the journey of contracting, you're going to learn these steps. But it's good to know that, legislators and elected officials who support small business, they're actually putting together some bills to help small businesses. So this is very, very encouraging, especially for small business move, for our future of growth.
25% is a huge number, right? That is a lot that's available with so much that's out there for small businesses, just in terms of contracts that are available. Jay, what are some of the most common reasons that small businesses don't pursue these opportunities?
A lot of times, from what I've seen, just because you get certified as a small business doesn't guarantee you a contract. And some people who take the initial steps, they stop there because they feel like, okay, I got certified, then what? And then pretty much they think that just because they're certified that they're guaranteed a contract. That's not the case. And I hear this a lot on both sides. I always hear them connecting with some of our agencies, connecting with some of our corporates, utilities, and they don't get all the contracts all the time. You know what I mean? And like Karla said, this takes time. 6 to 18 months, sometimes years, and you just have to be ready when that time comes. And that's why these contracting opportunities are here to supplement your business, right? You need to have different and other opportunity streams to be able to for your business to be able to survive. Because I could tell you this much: you need to do your day-to-day, but then you also have to include contracting as part of it, because this was a game changer for my business, and I could speak on behalf of my own business that to get to that next level, I know what I need to do as a small business, that I need to be able to take my technology platform and then be able to reinvest in it so it's enterprise ready. Because now that I've done a lot of these contracts, now it's time to get to that next level. So for me, it's always about first impressions, everything. You never want to shoot yourself in the foot, because you're in front of big corporations like Disney, like utility companies like SCE, Metropolitan Water District. This is a very, very small world when it comes to contracting. So you always want to make sure that when you're talking to these representatives and you're building relationships, that that your business is always ready, and you have to be patient, and you have to make sure that your business is ready before you move forward, because when that time comes, just be ready for it, because it will.
Well said. I especially like the idea of this as a supplement to your business. It seems like, especially as we're getting closer to the beginning of a new year, as companies, business people are thinking about, what do I want my business plan to be next year? It might be a good time to say, and what role does government contracting play in our 2025 business plan? So let's shift over. Karla, you talked about SAM as a place to get information about federal contracts. Can you talk a little bit more? What exactly is SAM, and what are some of the other places that business owners can find contract opportunities?
So yes, so SAM is the federal database. So that's SAM, System for Awards Management. So in that system, you can register for free, and I say that for free because if you Google it, it's going to take you to someone that's going to want to charge you $500 to $1,000. So do not pay. But in that system, that is how anything federal at any level, you have to be in that system. So that is how they find you. That is how they pay you. That is the door that unlocks the other doors for certifications. And they do have a component in there to look at contract opportunities as well. So SAM is kind of anything having to do with federal, that is going to be your starting point, no matter what. So there isn't, well, let me go around it. You have to complete that SAM. And that can take you anywhere from, I can do it in 30 minutes, but I've been doing it for a very long time. On average, I would say anywhere from about an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And then it should populate and update within a week or 2 weeks. Now, that's federal. If you're looking for state opportunities, there is a Cali Procure system. That database, that website is extremely powerful. I am a big fan of the state site. On that Cali Procure system, right when you open it, it shows you bid opportunities. Click here. You can go in there and search and look at the different opportunities. You're also on that same platform able to get yourself certified, also able to look at past purchases, also able to look at any upcoming events that they have, whether they're online or in person. So it's a good hub to get started. If you're looking to get started in contracting, that's normally where I direct you to, because they have a vast amount of resources and they have a list of advocates. So if you are trying to get, say, more information for Cal State XYZ, they do have advocates that are assigned to that particular school or department of what you're looking at, and they're able to provide you more guidance and information for that specific department. So that Cali Procure system, extremely powerful, very useful, full of resources. If you're looking at our cities, then we're looking at their sites directly. So I normally say go to your city sites. In the search box, type bids or type vendor, and you'll probably have some pop-up that'll direct you to whatever software they use for bidding. So some use Planet Bids, some use other platforms like Planet Bids to push out their bid opportunities on those cities. And the same thing with the counties. To go to the county site, type in the search box bids, and it should direct you to where their opportunities are at, and you're able to register as a vendor. Where we're looking at our private sector and our utilities, that's a little bit trickier. You would have to go to their supplier diversity page. So you would put XYZ business name, supplier diversity, and then that should direct you to their vendor registration. They don't post their bids. They will invite you to bid if you fit their needs. So you want to make sure your profile is up to date and has all the services and products that you are able to provide on there, so that you will pop up if something comes up to your matching.
You've talked about bidding, and so I'm wondering what does the typical bidding process look like for government contracts, Karla?
Oh gosh. From a physical standpoint, looking at them, they can be anywhere from a happy 20 pages to about 80 to 90 pages. So they will post the opportunity out. In that opportunity, it will go over the statement of work. It will go sometimes over what they paid in the past or what the budget is for that. It will go over a lot of deadlines as well, too. It will go over deadlines to ask questions. It will go over deadlines for mandatory walkthroughs if you need to be there, or meetings. So it goes into detail, but it also goes into telling you what you need to do. So you're never going to be left wondering what's the scope of work. It's going to be in there. Depending on who you're going after, some of these bids will provide you all the forms you need. So you just complete them and submit them as responses. So I always tell clients it might be 80, 90 pages long. Pause it. Don't freak out. Let's take it apart. Because a lot of the stuff is mandatory document that they have to give you. Then a chunk of it is what the actual work is. And the other chunk of it is probably forms that you have to complete. So, it can be intimidating, but you just need to just kind of sit back and take it apart so that you address all the different forms.
On that point, SBDC has terrific resources in the artificial intelligence arena, and I've seen demonstrations of using AI tools to do the taking apart and assessing and comparing the actual bid to your company's capabilities. So for more on that, go to SBDC, and they have resources in the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC that are really great at helping. I'll just share quickly. One of the members of the chamber did an assessment with one of the consultants from SBDC. They had spent 28 hours on assessing this potential contract, and I think it might have been 108 pages. They were taught how to upload that, have it distilled into its requirements, and then compared with their company's capabilities. It took them 28 hours, human hours. When they did it through ChatGPT, the paid version, it was done in 64 seconds. And then they could spend time to compare and contrast. So I want to just kind of go to the closing now, because we've covered a lot of terrain and there's so much more. And so both of you are great resources. But in closing, Karla and Jay, what resources are available locally in Irvine, in Orange County, or California to assist businesses in pursuing government contracts? So whoever wants to go first, please.
Yes, so right off the bat, SBDC is here to assist. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have the OCIE SBDC Center for Contracting. And we do have a team of 6 consultants that are extremely well versed in any aspect of contract. So that is a great resource. And like I said, we are at no cost. I would also, restate that we do have other assistants as well. So back to your comment, Dave, on the AI. We have a lot of AI experts in the office as well that can help you how to integrate it, how to maneuver in it, how to use it correctly. We have assistants in finance as well, and then just helping you in planning and moving that business forward. I would also suggest the state of California, like I said earlier, has a fantastic website, their Cali Procure, full of resources. They have webinars on there. They got videos you can watch. They talk about events that are coming up. Everything is listed on there. So that's a great tool to use as well. I would also suggest is looking at our training. We have a lot of trainings on our site, on the OCIE website. So you'll see trainings that we have. We actually have an AI one coming up with contracting in October, is how to use AI correctly when you're looking at these bid opportunities. So we do have those. We have Contracting 101, Certifications 101. We have business summits where we try to connect you to other buyers and other potential partners in subcontracting. So we have all those resources available to you. In addition, I would also just like to add just networking and connecting. Go to your local chambers, go to your local ethnic associations, your gender associations. They're there to help you. So I always preach on partnering up and growing your network because you're only as strong as what your network is. So you want to make sure you bring as much as you can to your fingertips so that you're successful, but also understand you're not alone. You have a team behind you that can assist you every step of the way. And I tap into Jay tapped into me. So we all talk to each other and we all have the same mission and goal is to help our entrepreneurs and businesses get ahead.
That is so much. Lots available. Jay, let's go to you to wrap this up. What would you add to that?
Definitely come out. This is perfect timing. Come out to our event next week, Wednesday, September 25th. It's our procurement event. We're going to have at least 30 organizations that are going to be talking to you about contracting, in which you could have one-on-one matchmaking sessions. We have it from every level, from local, state, county, federal, private. We have, right now we have like a bunch of cities represented. If you want to work with cities, we have Irvine, Garden Grove, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Fullerton. If you want to work with the county, we have a lot of departments coming from the county. We have probation. We have the County of Orange. We have John Wayne Airport. We have, there's a bunch. And then from the state, we have a bunch of state departments coming. GSA is going to be there if you want to know more about federal contracting as well. Disney's going to be there. So we have AT&T. We have McCarthy. So we have a lot of utility companies. We have OCTAs and their transportation partners that are going to be there. So this is definitely something you don't want to miss. Go to sbdn.info. It's a free event. Highly, highly recommend you go in there. Karla's going to be there. Her team's going to also have a session on the ins and outs of contracting. So once you make these connections, what's the next step? How do you prepare yourself? So, definitely shout out to Michael Farage. He's going to be doing a in and out session on contracting. So I'm super excited for that. So definitely come out for that. Make some new connections. And just get out there and be able to have, like Karla said, start networking. So this is a great opportunity for you to come out, see it, make these connections, because a lot of our partners are going to be coming down and flying down. So what we're trying to do is, we understand how important your time is, especially for small businesses, because we definitely time is something that we don't have a luxury of, especially with how things are in these challenging times, right? So we want to, want to be able to take advantage of events where everybody, we try to pack it with as much benefit information for you, especially when it comes to contracting. Like, this is the event to do it, and we have our certifying companies there that's also going to be there. That's going to be resources from, the Western Regional Council. They're going to be there to talk about some of the minority certifications. We have WeBack if you're a women-owned business. They're going to be there. And then we also have grants we're going to be announcing some grants at our last event. We're going to actually announce some of the grant winners. And some of them are from the SBDN network. So we're super excited to hear about that. There's grants on certifications that some of our partners are actually going to pay for some of these grants. So really good stuff. Hoping that you guys could join us. Again, it's next week, Wednesday. Mark your calendars, and we'll see you there.
And Jay, for those who are listening after next Wednesday, how often do you do these kind of things? Because I know you do these regularly.
So you could connect with us monthly through our networking and training events. So we do it like during our either lunch or breakfast. We alternate, and then our big signature events are once a year. So you could catch that pretty much at every quarter, and then we have our mixers. So our mixers, we've been having quite few more mixers this month, this year. So these are great opportunities for you, and our partnered organizations. When you go to our website, a lot of our resource partners, their events are on there too. So we want to be that one-stop shop to be able to connect you. Like Karla said, your net worth is your network, right? And we want to surround yourself with, resources, with power partners, with collaborators from every level to make sure that we maximize all your opportunities. And that's why we're here. It's small business serving small business. And where you grow, we grow. So we're stronger together.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the website for the Small Business Development Network, Small Business Diversity Network is
SBDN.info. Really easy.
All right. Perfect. So keep track of all the events. So I will just say, Karla, Jay, you have provided a lot of great content, a lot of great information. I encourage our listeners to connect with you. Connection information is available on our website. And I just want to thank you both for being a part of today's podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for having us.
Thank you for joining us for the Greater Irvine Chamber Business Insights podcast. To stay informed about upcoming podcasts and other important business news, please subscribe to our channel or check the Greater Irvine Chamber website.